All right, y'all. So Mohammed seems to be having some Wi-Fi problems, so we'll see if we can get him back in here later. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first pre-med meeting for the semester. We're going to go ahead and start with some introductions. All right, so this is Mohammed. When he gets back in here, I'm sure you'll hear him talk, but he is co-president with me. My name is Ryan. He is a senior at NC State with, oh, there he is.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My bad, my wife tripping. All right, well, my name is Mohammed. I'm a senior at State, majoring in bio with a human biology concentration, and I'm getting my minor in biotechnology and nutrition. I'm also the co-president for the STEM Journal Club. I was the treasurer for Pre-Med Club last year. I've done like scribing and like phlebotomy volunteer work and stuff like that. But in my free time, I like basketball, traveling, and reading.
So I introduced myself already. My name is Ryan. I'm co-president with Mohammed. I'm also a senior. I'm a major in human biology and a minor in psychology. I'm a former co-president and current executive board member for the Rural Health Outreach Club, also known as RHOC. We're actually having our first meeting tonight at 7, if y'all want to drop into that as well. I'm a member of Summit Church, a volunteer EMT basic with Dental Rescue Squad. I also use that certification to work as a volunteer nurse assistant with Alliance Medical Ministry. And I've also been a teaching assistant for 4 semesters with Dr. Sandberg for Orgo 1 and 2. Y'all have either probably taken her or avoided her, one of the two. But my personal interests, I'm into cars, traveling, and photography.
Hey guys, I'm Pavitra. I'm a sophomore here at State, and I'm majoring in human bio with minors in history and business. I'm a member of the club soccer team here, so if you guys want to join or like soccer, please come join. I also volunteer at the Duke Sports Med Clinic over the summer, so if you guys have any questions about that, just let me know. And personally, I like to travel, listen to music, and watch TVs and movies.
Hey everybody, my name's Callie. I'm the secretary of the Pre-Med Club this year. Last year I was one of the co-service coordinators, but I'm a junior here majoring in human biology. I am a part of the Scholars Program. I'm an ambassador for the Alumni Association. I'm a member of Crew, Student Government Athletics, and I have my certification as a nurse aide, so I work with that and Carrie. In my free time, I enjoy sports of any kind, traveling, concerts, and TV and movies as well.
Hey everyone, so I'm Jessica. I'm one of the service and social media coordinators. I'm a junior at NC State, double majoring in human biology and nutrition. I'm also minoring in psychology and philosophy. Outside of pre-med, I am a university ambassador, also a teaching assistant for Intro to Nutrition. And also I work as a medical scribe and an office assistant at a nearby family medicine practice, and also a habilitation tech through Maxim. And so my interests are figure skating, traveling, and watching Netflix.
Hey, I'm Sonia Latif. I'm a sophomore at NC State, and I'm majoring in biology and minoring in psychology. I'm one of the service and social media coordinators. I'm also involved in the Scholars Program here and a co-founder of Lunches for All, which was helping give food aid during coronavirus. I do some shadowing at Wake Med Hospital, and my personal interests are traveling, photography, and reading.
Okay, so these are some online service opportunities. Since COVID is happening, it's best to do everything virtually. So here's some ideas. So like Project Sunshine, you can mail in masks for pediatric patients or write thank you messages to workers. Translators Without Borders is where you get to scribe medical documents. Chemoangels.com. Send cards to chemo patients. Do something.org is a bunch of campaigns that you can get involved with. 7 Cups, it's opportunity to chat with others about mental health issues. Be My Eyes is an app where you can connect with those with visual impairments and volunteer through that. So you'd be able to walk them through like their everyday life. Learn to Be is a opportunity to volunteer through K-12 students. And also it's a great way to network with professionals in your field of interest and also help at your door. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities. So you be delivering groceries to elderlies or shopping for them. So you can definitely screenshot this, and we might be sending out the presentation after the meeting. So yeah.
All right, so these are for the t-shirts for that club members ordered from last year. So if you order them, they can be picked up starting next Monday, probably throughout the week. And me and Callie will let you know where and when you can meet us, but it should be in the Brickyard. But we'll also send out emails with specifics about that soon.
All right, so it's time to introduce our guest speaker, who is Dr. Cedric Bright. He is the Associate Dean for the admissions at Brody School of Medicine at ECU. He's a professor of clinical internal medicine there as well. He's also interim dean, associate dean for diversity and inclusion, and he was the 112th president of the National Medical Association. So please welcome Dr. Bright.
Thanks, y'all. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Good afternoon. We're doing good.
Ain't got no howling going on out there? I'm a big NC State fan. I grew up as an NC State fan back in the 70s. I'm old. When David Thompson and Monty Town and Tommy Burleson and all those Phil Chenier were all there playing basketball and won a national title. That was one of the best things in the world that happened to me. The second best thing that happened to me was in '83 when they won another national title. And I was in college. I was the only person at Brown who picked NC State to win the national championship. I won a lot of money that day, but I spent it all by the end of that weekend. So it was a great time. It was a great time. So I have a long tradition of NC State. My big brother, actually went to NC State. I spent time on the campus while he was there when I would come home from college. And so NC State has always had a special place in my heart, despite the fact that I did go to Carolina. So we'll just leave it at that. You don't have to tell nobody that. All right, so can y'all hear me all right? I need to put on my headset. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try to share my screen. And since y'all already did this, I'll do mine. Does it work? Okay, so as stated, I'm an associate dean. Uh-oh, it just disappeared. Do y'all see that? I can't see it. Dadgummit.
We see the slide.
Okay, so basically what my slide tells you some things about me. You know, I'm a person who went to the Episcopal High School. I went to Brown University. I did my medical school at Carolina. I pledged to fraternity Omega Psi Phi. You see that there. I like to play golf. I like to fish. I'm a person who walks by faith. And all of those things are who I am. And so since y'all were doing one quick snapshot of who you were, I wanted to share that with you. So I don't know how you really wanted to go about this today. I have plenty of things I certainly could talk about, or we could just go to questions and answers, but let me just kind of go over a few things first, and then after that, we'll open the floor up. Everybody amenable with that? In the backdrop you see of me is a picture of my son. That's him with his arm trying to throw, looking like he's throwing a baseball or something. In the middle, and that's where they were Little League baseball champions. He actually was fortunate enough to win 3 Little League baseball championships in his time. And so I'm very proud of him. That's why I use that as a backdrop. Family is important to me too, as you would have seen from my slide. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to East Carolina. I was at Carolina for 8 years. Before Carolina, I was at Duke for 13 years. And before that, I was at Brown University. So I've been at 3 different medical schools teaching in my lifetime, and each one of them has its own unique flavor. And what drew me to East Carolina is the aspect of family, and that there's a true family atmosphere here at Brody that is very refreshing. It's a competitive school. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a competitive school. But our students have this mindset that they really don't want to leave anybody else behind. So our students who are doing the best in their classes work with the students who are struggling. And that makes a difference. It helps pull the cohesiveness of the class together, and it makes sure that we leave nobody behind. And that's the Brody way. That's a family type of atmosphere that we have here at Brody. And that's what attracted me. The mission at Brody is that we have a threefold mission. One is to increase the workforce for Eastern North Carolina, number one. Number two is to improve the health outcomes in Eastern North Carolina. And since 1972, when the school started and became a 4-year school in 1974, the average length of life has increased almost 4 years in Eastern North Carolina. And so you can see the importance of why Brody, of what Brody is doing in the community and making a difference. To me, that's very important. You want to be a part of something that's making a difference, tangibly, each and every day making a difference. And then the third aspect of Brody's mission is to increase the medical education access for underrepresented racial and ethnic minorities and those who are underrepresented in medicine. That includes people from rural backgrounds, people who are first generation, people who are immigrants to the United States, but are citizens of the United States and residents of North Carolina, as we only accept in-state students. We do not accept any out-of-state students. The class size is 86 students. Our MCAT score, our average is about a 506. Our average GPA is about a 3.6 science GPA. Our overall GPA is about a 3.5. We had 1,025 applications last year, of which we had 596 from females and 456 from men. So we had a substantial difference between the number of women and men who are applying. And that actually is reflective of what's occurring nationally in medical school applications, that there are more women applying to medical school now than there are actually men. We had 125 first generation students who applied last year. And we had 274 students who did not get in previously who reapplied. And I think that's important to note as well. Our class of 86, as I stated already, we had 53 females in the class and 33 males in the class. We had 20% Asian, 16% Black, 5% Latinx, 38% white, 1% Native American. And 25% of the people who were accepted this past year were actually reapplicants. So that's important to know, because what that tells you is if you don't get in the first time, try again. It is actually a dream deferred, not a dream denied. Our top schools that we had were UNC, North Carolina, followed by North Carolina State, and then East Carolina as our 3 top schools of which we had applicants from. And another important point about Brody is it's a bargain. Of all the schools in the nation, it's in the bottom. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Either the bottom 5% for cost or the top 5% for the lowest cost in the nation. And our average indebtedness for our students is in the 95th percentile for debt, which is significant. It means you're going to come out of Brody with less debt than you would at other schools. That number is about 120,000. When you consider that the average medical student comes out with over $250,000 in debt, 120 is a pretty good bargain. And your total cost on a year is about $50,000, about $52,000, and the tuition per year is $23,000. We have a 99% step one pass rate, which is very important because you want to go to a school that you're going to be able to pass step one. And 99%, I'll put that up against any school in this state. We have courses that we help our students who are in academic difficulties to help them to prepare for step one and for all of their exams. We really go out of our way to have resources in place for our students to be successful. We really believe that if we admit you, you should graduate. We shouldn't have a school that thinks we admit people and we know that we're gonna have people that are gonna fail out. No. We admit you because we see the potential in you to be what you want to be. And it's our job as educators to help you reach that potential. It's not our job as educators to just let you flounder and not give you resources to help you be successful. To me, that's not the type of atmosphere that I want to be a part of, and that's why I'm at Brody. So when we talk about selection factors, so everybody knows that there's certain things that we look at for our students. So let me just describe that for you. And I like to use an analogy, if you will, of four wheels on a car. So there are four tires on a car, and each one of those tires have to have a certain amount of air in them in order for the car to operate, right? So for instance, if you wake up one morning and you're late for class and you got to drive to campus and you go out to your car and you got a flat tire, you got troubles, right? You're not going to be able to get to class, okay? Likewise, that's how an application looks to me. The four tires are represented by four categories. One is your volunteer activities. Number two, your medical clinical activities, hands-on if possible. Number three, your MCAT score. I gotta find my camera. And then number four is your GPA. So we have a holistic review process, which means that we look at all of those things plus the letters that you have written, and that's how we help to determine whether you are fit for us. So as I already told you what our average MCAT score is, if our average is a 506, that means we have people that were above that, and we have people who are below that. If I told you our GPA is about a 3.6 science GPA, we have people above and people below. So our volunteer hours that we have, traditionally our students have between 250 to 500 hours of volunteer activity. And likewise, clinical hands-on medical experiences plus shadowing, anywhere from 200 to 500 hours. Some people even have more for those who are non-traditional and have been out and have been working in the health arena. Or for some of you that have been, I heard somebody was a CNA, and they're participating in that, and maybe they may get those hours all the way going through college that they have over, 500 hours. But those are the types of things that we're looking at that help us. Those four tires are what we call the bedrock of your application process. That's how you get an interview. And then once you get an interview, we now call that what? The gas, because that's what's going to make the car run. If you already have all your tires in place and you get a good interview, well, wow, you got a good moving car, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a head nod or something. All right, appreciate it. Thumbs up. Yeah. Nah, all right, I'm talking to live people. That's good. So that's really the gist of it. It's just that simple, y'all. It's just that simple. Now, what do I know about this year? Well, this year is going to be a little different, right? I mean, it's been different for me. I'm talking to you from my house. Normally, I'd be talking to you from my office, right? But I'm talking to you from my house because we got issues going on in our country right now with this pandemic that has changed the landscape of what everybody's doing. So if you're worried right now that you don't have the volunteer hours, you don't have the clinical hours, I expect that if you haven't done it before the pandemic, right? Because you can't do what you can't do, right? So it's going to be incumbent upon me as an admissions officer to be able to analyze apples and oranges, okay? Because they're going to have some applications from students that have been working at this for 5 years, and they got everything in place and they just needed to apply this year. because they had other things that they were doing. Maybe they had other careers. Maybe they changed from wanting to be a banker and decided they wanted to come to med school, right? Then there are going to be some of y'all who are still coming through college who, you're really spending your time doing your academics, doing your activities on your campus level, but you can't get out into the hospital. You can't get into some of these volunteer places that you wanted to do. And that's going to impact you. Hey, I got to give y'all kudos. Bang, 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 bang. I was really excited to see that stuff of the information about what you could do that didn't involve having to be in a clinical setting or be working directly with people. I've been looking for a list like that. Would somebody please be so kind, Ryan, and send me that list? That would be great. I would really appreciate that, because now I can tell some of these things to other students who are asking me that very question: what can I do in this time? So thank you for doing that. I think that's awesome on your part. The way that our structure works is that I'm not quite sure I followed that question, but we're going to come back to that. And let me just get just a couple more points in, then I'll go to questions. So, you all have to go through AMCAS application process. Your AMCAS application comes to us. AMCAS is like how you apply to college. You had a centralized application process. That's all AMCAS is. And you'll send that in. It'll come to us. We'll send you out a supplemental application. You'll fill out that supplemental application. It comes in. We have a screening committee, which now will review all of your information and make a determination whether you should have an interview. If you're given an interview, hooray, you come in on the interview. Well, actually, you won't come in because we're doing virtual interviews this year. And so virtually, you'll be invited to come to a platform and participate in a virtual interview process. You'll have 2 interviews that day. One to be a specialized interview looking for emotional intelligence. The other one will be an interview that's more about traditional interview. Then what will happen is after that, we'll have the big committee will come together and we'll discuss all of the committee's reports about you, and then we'll vote one way or the other. And then we'll go from there. I don't need to get into all the details on how we make the sausage, but when you get to that point, I can tell you more on the interview day. So that's kind of the backdrop of it. We have rolling admissions. And so once we start admitting people, we keep going. But our goal is to make sure that the people that interviewed the first week have the same percentage chance of getting in as those who interviewed the last week. So we don't fill all the class up and then the folks that come in at the end, oh well. So no, that's not the way it is. We want to make sure if you interview at the end of the year, you have just the same amount of percentage of getting in as when you came in at the first part of the year. So we make sure to do that. Financial aid is available for students. We have probably about 30, that's more than that. It's probably about 70 students per class that they get some type of financial aid. Almost all of the class gets some type of financial aid. It's not always a lot, but pretty much everybody gets something, I think. I think I'll stop there. What am I missing? Have I talked to any about we're primary care focused school? I forgot that many of our residents, many of our students go on to go into primary care. I think over 35% of students last year were either in internal medicine, family medicine, or pediatrics, which they call primary care. But also, I think general surgery is another one. General psychiatry is another one. OBGYN is definitely primary care, even though it's a specialty and you have surgeries and things of that nature because of, anyway. But I think all of those are still primary care services. And when you add all that up, that's almost 70% of what our students go into. And so we are primary care driven. And we do have a proclivity to want students from eastern part of the state. But we also look at students from the western part of the state because we know that North Carolina has cities and communities in triads, triangles, and little triangles down here in the east. But then everybody else is kind of rural. And so understanding the need in North Carolina is to develop physicians who are comfortable going back to rural settings. That's kind of a focus of us here down at Brody. We have things such as distinction tracks that are in place. where you can learn about either leadership or research or community engagement. And then one more, which one am I missing? Education, duh. Imagine me, I'm a doctor and I forgot education. But so education, so those are our 4 different distinction tracks that you can get further education in if that's something that you're interested in doing, help to propel your career. We also have the option to get a Master's of Public Health, as well as an MBA. We do not have much of a PhD program. It takes a lot of work on your part to be able to try to find the funding to do that. And because of that, we have not had anybody apply and that go through that process. And it's been a while. It's been before I got here, that's for sure. So I think that's enough for right now. Why don't y'all start asking me some questions and I'll see where we can go from here. Should I go to the chat, Ryan, or are you gonna tell me which ones you want me to answer?
I think if you want to answer the questions in the chat, you can do that. And for those that want to ask, maybe raise your hand and then Dr. Bright can call on you.
Okay. If I can figure out how to work that, come on, go up. Okay, so it looks like the first question was, stop. Yep, share screen. Okay, come down. Oh. Okay. So would you mind ranking what is most important for medical school admissions, or at least in Brody? What I would say is most schools have gone to a holistic review process, but each school is different. So like, for instance, if you apply to Duke, one of the things that's important if you apply to Duke is you got to have done research, because they're a research school. They like researchers. They like to develop researchers. And so one thing that will help propel your application at Duke is research. Whereas here at Brody, we want to see you being more humanitarian in the type of hands-on work that you do, or the type of clinical activities that you're engaged in. And if you don't want to do research, that's fine. You're not going to be penalized for not doing research. But research is not our stick. We accept students that have done research because we think that that's important as well. But it's not something that we're going to penalize people for if they don't have it. Whereas other schools may. Other schools are maybe not so much primary care driven. And so you saying that you have a primary care interest might not carry as much weight as some other schools. Some schools really want you to do more hands-on clinical activities. Some schools are okay with just doing shadowing. It just all depends upon the flavor of the admissions committee. And even more, the flavor of the admissions committee that might be reviewing you or interviewing you. So one thing that we're really trying to do is try to eliminate some of that bias that can occur because people have their favorites. And we really work on doing bias training with our admissions committee to make sure that that we give you a fairest shake that we can when we review your application and when we interview you. So ranking what's most important is really determined by the medical school. How many of y'all, by raise of hands of those I can see, have heard of the AAMC, the Association of American Medical Colleges? Okay, so that's an important resource for all of you. You should make sure that you go see Ray and get the book, the MSAR, the Medical Student Resource, Medical Student Application Resource. Yeah, MSAR. And go read that MSAR, look at each school, and make a determination. Read their mission. You heard what's the first thing I started off with? Mission. Okay? Because if my mission doesn't match your mission, then we're not gonna come together. It's not gonna happen. But if your mission matches my mission, now we got the first step. So you need to read the MSAR, read what their mission is. If their mission matches your mission, then read on. If it doesn't match your mission, there's 153 medical schools. Ain't all of them for you. You got to find the one that's right for you. I hope I answered that question. Do you have the same number of students each year? Yes, we do. We'd like to increase our number of students, but right now we can't because we don't have a building. We don't have class space that's big enough. Plus, actually, we probably could increase our size right now because we have virtual classrooms. The only problem with that is still we have to have enough space clinically for everybody to be able to do all their rotations. So that's a little bit of a limitation for why we can't grow. When looking at reapplications, do you see the last application? Yes, we do. Do you expect a completely rewritten application, personal statement, and activities? Well, let's put it this way. If you copy and paste the same thing over again, that's probably not good. If you haven't done anything the last year since you applied the year before that changes your application to something better, yeah, it's probably not good. You know, you want to seek advice. You know, we are one of the schools that if you apply and you don't get in, you have the opportunity to get an appointment with us, and we can go over your application and give you advice on what you need to do to improve for the next cycle. And if we do that and you don't do that, then that's not good. I'm just, being honest. This is all about self-improvement, y'all. You gotta, the thing about medicine is if you want to be a doctor, it's lifelong learning. It doesn't just stop once you get your degree. It will stop once you get your training. In the last, medical knowledge is overturning now about every 3 to 4 months. We got brand new information that the stuff that we taught last year is now obsolete. So you have to get in the mindset of continuous self-improvement. And the only way to do that is if you're not successful, you got to improve yourself. You got to figure out what it is that you need to improve upon and go for it. And that's how you become successful as a reapplicant. And we have plenty of folks that do. I've had folks this year. We had 3 folks this year that applied for the 4th time, and they got in. Okay. So once again, a dream deferred is not a dream denied. Let's see. Next question. Did I miss one? Do you consider students that go through pre-health programs such as a post-bac any differently? Would you recommend pre-health programs like the Masters of Physiology at NC State? Okay, great question. Okay, so here's the deal. Not everybody who comes to college is ready for college, right? Some people come from schools where they were the valedictorian in Snow Hill, North Carolina, and they get to NC State, and it's a totally different ball game for them. It's not the same level of competition, and they struggle their freshman year. They struggle their sophomore year, but they get it together, and they pull it up their junior year, and they pull it up their senior year. Okay, but now their GPA is not at where the average is for a lot of schools. So what do? Well, I've done all my prerequisites, so I'm not going to do a post-bac. So what I have to do now is a master's program. And they go and do a master's program and show that indeed they have learned the skills to make them successful. And that's a way of reinventing yourself. Now, how do we look at that? We look at where you are and not where you've been. You get my point? If you struggled as freshmen and sophomores, I shouldn't look at you and say you're not worthy of being a doctor. That's crazy. Because we all got to grow. Shoot, I started off my freshman year, I had a 3.0. I was killing it. I was the man at Brown. I was getting it on. I was playing basketball. I was doing it all, right? I kept doing it in players to fraternity at the end of my freshman year. Guess what happened to me my sophomore year? Rock bottom. I went to my pre-med advisor. He said, well, Cedric, this is not good, but it ain't over. Now, what you got to do is you got to bounce back from this, and you got to show people that you have the ability to improve from where you hit this nadir. And that's what I did. I stopped playing basketball. I started being more of a responsible individual and stopped hanging out like a knucklehead. And I got my grades back in order to the point that when I was a senior, I was able to apply to medical school. I didn't get in. I had to come back and try again the next year because I didn't have a good MCAT score. Because the first time I went to take the MCAT, I didn't know I was supposed to study. I woke up at 7:45. The test was at 8 o'clock. And it was on the other side of campus. And I had to run because I had no car. And we didn't have a flat tire. I didn't have a car. And so I had to run across campus to get there just as they were shutting the door. And honestly, I should have let them shut the door. And I should have stayed on the outside and gone do something else. Because my score came back and anyway. So I ended up having to take the MCAT 3 times before I finally got a score that was worthy of somebody thinking that I was okay. And I only applied to 2 medical schools. Fortunately, I got into 1. And that's all you need. 1 is all you need, right? Am I talking to somebody out there? Am I talking to myself? Somebody nod their head or something. Yeah, all right, there we go. Good, good. So here's the deal, y'all. Postbacks are for people who majored in something else. Now, I majored in film, okay? But I did do my pre-med courses, okay? Say you major in art history, or you major in structural engineering since you're at NC State, something of that nature, and you don't take all your pre-med courses, and you decide later that you want to be a doctor. But what you do is you didn't go to a post-bac in order to get those courses. That's what a post-bac is for you to get the courses that you didn't get while you were in undergraduate. A master's program is used for when you've gotten all of your prerequisites, but your grades were not where they want to be, and you want to try to prove to people that you can do higher level sciences. That's when you do a master's program. Did I make that clear? Cool. What counts as clinical hours? I've been working as a pharmacy technician for 4 months. Is that clinical hours? If you talk to the patients, yes, it is. It's all about interaction, okay? If you're spending time talking to patients about their drugs, how the drugs are affecting them, the side effects, helping them to understand not to mix this drug with another drug, of course, that's under the supervision of your pharmacist, then that works. Part of clinical hours is partly about being in front of people, and in a medical setting. And from being a pharmacy technician is a medical setting, although albeit it's not in a clinical setting, okay? But other things count toward this as well. Not so much clinical, but like for instance, if you're a waitress or a hostess or a server, that counts because you got to deal with some angry people, right? You got to learn how to deal with the public, right? Okay, you're a cashier, you're a golf attendant at the local club. Hey, you're a lifeguard in the summer, right? You're dealing with people. You still got to deal with people. You got to have a certain professional demeanor. You can't just be whatever you want to be. You got to be what the role tells you to be, right? That's the difference between being a professional and having a job, okay? Which is a whole nother lecture. I'm not gonna get into that today. But anyway, so yes, clinical technician is a good one. I mean, a pharmacy technician is one. Working as a clinical research assistant, helping to enroll patients, working as a med tech, and helping to do vitals in the office, doing phlebotomy, at the local hospital, being an interpreter, and helping to relay information between patient and doctors. Working as a scribe is another one as well. CNA, you already mentioned. EMT is another type of clinical activity you can be engaged in. Sports medicine, physical therapy, occupational therapy, help assistant, things of that nature is where you're touching people and changing lives. Those are all great type of clinical activities you can be engaged in beyond just shadowing, okay? Let's see, what is the typical major for someone you admit? Try to share my screen. Oh, where's my graphic? it doesn't show it. Rats. How do I go back? No, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. So I had a great graphic that I was trying to show you that talks about where we are as it relates to students and where they type of majors they come from. It should have been right there. All right. So we have multiple different majors that folks come from. There's really no particular, well, there is one particular one. For some reason, a lot of people like to major in biology. Go figure. But, you know, for biology, I think that's great, you know, if that's really what you are interested in. What I really want you to do in college is I want you to major in what you like, something that you have a passion for, because you're going to have plenty of time the rest of your life to worry about the biology of the human body. But if that's not what floats your boat, like for me, like I said already, I majored in film. And so film was important to me because it was Brown's version of what communications was. And I really kind of fell into that because I number one, I started in biology and I realized if I had to memorize another phylum or kingdom, I was going to croak. And then after that, I said I want to go into chemistry, but I wasn't very good in calculus. And in order to major in chemistry, you got to be very good at calculus. And that wasn't me. And so I ended up majoring in film. And what it taught me was the ability to not only understand what people say, but also what they don't say. And when their body language and their spoken language don't add up. And that really helped propel me a lot of different areas in taking a medical history. And so, you know, you can find ways to apply what you love and what you have a passion for toward medicine and bring it with you. You know, if all of us are the same, then none of us are thinking, right? The whole thing about medicine is having a lot of different people from a lot of people, different backgrounds, so that we can educate each other. Because when we go out and take care of patients, they're not all going to look like us. They're not all going to talk like us. They're not all going to be from the same background as us. And health disparities occur because we try to take care of people that we really don't know nothing about, so we're not invested in their care. The only way to change that is by being invested in a school, in a class that is diverse, that you can learn from somebody else about how the world views, how they view the world, and then apply that in a clinical setting and say, instead of maybe that person is, oh man, you know, that person, they're non-compliant. But maybe they're non-compliant because they had to make a decision between paying that light bill and buying that medicine. Maybe that was why they were non-compliant. Or that, you know, they had to take 4 different buses to get there, and one of the buses didn't get to the bus stop on time, and he missed the bus. That's why they're late for their appointment, not because they just slack and just don't want to come to the doctor on time. We got to be able to think beyond that, what we call as our knee-jerk reactions. And that way you develop that type of ability to think critically is by being around other people who think differently. So I hope that made sense to you. When looking at an applicant's service hours, should these be solely medically based? No, not solely medical based. I like to say humanitarianism. You know, what I don't like seeing is 1,000 hours with my fraternity brothers. No, that's not, you're not helping anybody. You're just hanging out. If you tell me that you had, in that 1,000 hours of hanging out with your fraternity brothers, you spent 250 hours doing Habitat for Humanity, okay, I'll buy that, right? But social service, social chair, where you're just developing when our parties are going to be and stuff like that, that don't ride very far, okay? So really make sure that you're doing some type of humanitarian activities with these activities that you say that you do in your fraternities and sororities or social action groups. Make sure that you're doing something to help people who are less fortunate or in need. Like for instance, you know, when this hurricane came through and Bertie County was torn up again, you know, did you go down and help hand out supplies? You know, that's humanitarianism, right? It's showing that you recognize the need and you decided to be selfless and go give up yourself. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay. Someone said 200 to 500 hours for regular volunteering, 200 to 500 for cleaning. Yeah, it does mean for each category. That's correct. For each category. Yep, for each category. We like to see that. Like I said, this year it's going to be different. It's because of COVID, you're not going to be able to get all of those hours in. Getting tongue-tied, sorry. So we do understand that, but yes, we like to see that combined. And here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal. Where's med school going? Huh? Nowhere. Right? All of y'all out there rushing to get here yesterday. Listen, get yourself ready first, then apply, right? Think about it this way. You get prepared to go to the prom. You got you and your best friend are getting ready to go. You both want to get there at 7:30. So you're getting dressed. You realize that your clothes not matching, your shirt's not clean, your tie don't match, your jacket's dirty, and you look at your watch and it's 7:15, and you just throw it all on and you run to the prom. Bam! I'm here at 7:30. I'm here at 7:30. Well, your boy, he's like, look, nah, I can't go out like that. I got to get my jacket right, my tie right, my shirt is fly. I got on some shots that are banging. I got my shoes shine. They walk in at 8 o'clock. Everybody turn around and go, ooh, look at him. Look how nice he dressed up. He's cleaned up well, right? So the point of the story is, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that's rushing to get there at a deadline and you're a hot mess? Or you want to be there, get there at the right time, your time, when you're the best prepared and you're your best? Don't put yourselves on a timeline you can't keep. Okay? Make sure that you put yourself on a timeline that is best for you, because med school's going nowhere. It's going to be here next year and the year after and the year after and the year after. As long as the earth is going around, med school's going to be here. Okay? So let's get ourselves ready first and not be rushing and pull your hair out and be all stressed to death and all kinds of stuff, get acne. You don't need all that stuff. Okay? So think about it that way. All right. I've digressed. Forgive me. I have a tendency of doing that. Ryan, how we doing on time? Who's moderating this thing? Is it you, Muhammad, or is it Ryan, or?
We're both kind of just keeping our eye on the time. I know that I personally do have to run at 4, but Muhammad is also recording this, so it kind of just depends on your timeline, honestly.
Okay. Well, I want to be a good steward of your time and not take up too much of y'all's time, because I know that y'all have other things to do. So what I'll try to do is get through as many of these next questions in the next 15 minutes, and then we'll let it go. Is that good for y'all? And if it's not enough, I think Dr. Easterlin called me back and tell me, Bubba, they ain't get enough. You need to come back and talk to me. Is that fair, Ray?
15 minutes is all right, sir.
All right, so here we go. Rapid. So how does admission look on paid clinical experiences? Listen, hey, look, whoa, some of y'all got to work. I know that, right? Some of y'all have to provide for your families. I get that. So I'm not gonna discount the fact that you worked in a clinical environment and got paid for it. Yes, it's not volunteer, right? But you still are in a clinical setting. And so I get that. That's nothing. We're not going to hold that negative. And you're right. Low-income students and undergraduate may find clinical volunteering difficult. Yeah, I know. I get it. You got to do what you got to do. Okay. And if that means working as a way to make it, I get it. I worked too. I worked all through my undergraduate. Because I did not come from a family of a lot of means, and being in Brown, it was very interesting to finally realize in life I was poor. So, it's one of those things I do understand. And I make sure that my admissions committee understands that too. That's important too. There's the MSAR link. Thank you, Ryan. Beautiful. Oh gosh, what did I just do? Oh, phew. I thought I lost myself. I'm still learning this platforms, you know. Y'all know this stuff sideways, man. I'm struggling with this stuff. I got a mouse too, and I don't know why I'm not even using it. Okay, maybe that'll help me out. Yeah. Oh, amazing how that works. Do I recommend a gap year? I totally do. I recommend a gap year if that's what you need to do. If you think that you already ready, all your stuff is straight, and you ready to roll, you don't need a gap year. Come on. Come on. But if you're not ready and you need to get some more experiences, you need to raise some money, taking a gap year is fine. Here's the key. Don't waste it. Do something with it. If you're going to take a gap year, make sure you do something significant, you know? Make sure you get your volunteerism in. Make sure you get some of your clinical and stuff in. Use it. If it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it is, like I said, med school's not going anywhere, but make good use of the time. You know, gap years are good. Sometimes they help us grow up. Interview process is, like I said, it's a one-on-one virtual interview process. We have structured questions that we ask you. No, I ain't telling you what they are. For the MSAR, I think it's $25 to get it, but if you qualify, yeah, that's correct. So you can get it for free, or I'm sure Ray has access somewhere he can help you with that. So make sure you go see Mr. Easterman or Dr. Easterman. You're welcome. I'm glad that this is helping you. I'm glad that you needed that. You're very welcome, Kim. I had a volunteer position talking to patients about their nutrition plan. That works. That's volunteer. I'll take that. That's volunteerism. Here's the deal. It's all in how you write it up, folks. You know, if you write about it from the perspective of, you know, this is what I did and it was okay, and, you know, yada, 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 then that ain't going to be good, right? You want to make sure you write about it from the perspective of why. Start with your why. Why did I do this? And then what did I get out of it? What did I expect to get out of it? And then how did it make me feel? If you write about all of your experiences from that perspective, it is how your application pops, right? Make it pop, okay? That's how you do it. Start off with the why, get to the what, and go to your how. How did it make me feel? How is that going to change the way I go about practicing my life? How is that going to impact me in the future and what plans I want to go into? Okay, does that make sense? I know the application asks for 15 experiences. Does Brody care if you have less experiences than that are more long-term? Okay, so yes, what we like to see are people who are committed to being part of an activity. So I'd rather see 8 experiences that you did long-term than 15 one-offs. Okay, because to me that tells me that you are committed to doing something. Medicine is a commitment. It's not something that you can one-off. I'll be a doctor today. I'll be an engineer tomorrow. No, it's a commitment. And so we would rather see 8 long-term activities that you answer your why, your what, and your how. That's better than having 15 that you just did one off, okay? Could you go a little bit more depth in what you said earlier about the emotional intelligence interview? So similarly, how a lot of folks are using the multiple mini interview process, basically all that's doing is looking at situational judgment and emotional intelligence. That's all they're trying to do with that. And so we don't have the resources to put that many people into doing multiple mini interviews. So therefore, we've developed our own emotional intelligence platform of questions that we score, that we use in our interview process. I know many medical schools frown upon students using AP credits to get ahead in courses in undergrad. If the undergrad accepts your AP credit, we accept your AP credit. Does it matter when you complete those volunteer hours? No, not necessarily. You know, it's just a matter of you getting them done. Yeah, I mean, certainly if all of your volunteer hours were before you went to college and you haven't done anything since then, that's probably not good. So you want to make sure it's commensurate to your interests, okay? So let's see, Dr. Ray said that you can send emails to him anytime. He put it in the chat box so you can see that. Let's see, Miss Coda. I'm a junior and I plan to do my clinical shadowing this year. I feel confident with many of my tires, except the shadowing. Would it be wise to apply this upcoming cycle or take a gap year just for shadowing? If you have other clinical activity beyond just shadowing, I mean, if you're only just doing the shadowing because shadowing's sake, you can probably still apply. And if you have a whole bunch of other volunteerism that you've already done, then you can possibly utilize that as well. It's what I would suggest is sit down and talk with Mr. Easterling and see what he suggests to it, because he can look at your transcript and look at all of your hours and help give you more of a idea of which is the best way to go. So somebody says they love my energy. This is me though. This is natural me. I'm not on coffee. How do you see your MPH MD students differ from your sole MD students? I just really, I think it's all a matter of personal preference. If you want to get the master's in public health, you know, that's because you want to look at things from a more of a populations basis as opposed to an individual basis. Medicine as an MD is more individual basis that then sometimes spreads out to, as we've seen here with COVID, to population-based aspects. But for the most part, we spend a lot of time just kind of looking at individuals as opposed to populations. Personally, I've earned my MPH. I never got it. They never gave me any paper for it. But I've spent so much time in various positions understanding population medicine and participating in activities around that, you know, I think I've deserved to earn, I've earned one honorary. So, but we don't, you know, I think it's just a matter of your own personal preference. That's what I would say on that one. So Muhammad said, last question. Who's got the last question? And that feverishly typing.
Anybody have any last questions? Quick ones. All right. Well, I wanted to show y'all real quick. I have access to MSAR. So if y'all want to take a look at Brody real quick, the mission statement right here, like Dr. Bright said, primary care physician serving the state, improving Eastern North Carolina citizens and enhancing minority and disadvantaged students. See, so all North Carolina residents. And here's some of the stuff about pre-med experience, right? So the community service volunteer work, the shadowing, the medical volunteer work. And then there's also paid employment and research. Further down, there's some of the MCAT stats, GPA stats. And somebody asked about major earlier. So it says 65% of matriculants had science math majors, and 15% came in with a graduate degree. And yeah, there's a bunch of information on the MSARs. It's super helpful for Brody and for all medical schools, really. And if you guys ever need to like look at this type of information, you can email me, you could email Ryan, and of course, Dr. Easterlin. He can always help you out as well. And just to wrap things up, we are recording this meeting. I know like a lot of y'all have classes and stuff like that and couldn't make it, or your friends couldn't make it. So we made a YouTube channel. So we're gonna post the Zoom recording for this on there, and you guys can look at this meeting again, share it with your friends and all that. And, definitely take advantage of the fact that this is being recorded. Also, we made a Instagram. We don't really have a social media presence prior to this year, so we're definitely trying to work on that. So you can follow our Instagram at NC State Pre-Med. That's where you're going to get the most updates for meetings and opportunities. Like I said, you can email me at msconter@ncsu.edu. You can also email Ryan at rjtaylor@ncsu.edu.
And you
Thank you,
can
Dr.
follow
Bright.
me on Twitter at Cedric M. Bright MD.
All right,
Since
if
you're
you want
putting
to
out all
follow
those
Dr. Bright
handles,
on
let
Twitter,
me get mine in there. Come on, help me out, Muhammad.
yeah, I got you. Hold up. Wait, what's your Twitter? I'll put it in the slide. What's your Twitter username?
Cedric M. Bright MD.
M Bright.
That's simple, at Cedric M. Bright MD.
All right, cool.
All one word.
We send out these slides to like all our members, so they can look at this and maybe follow you as well.
Sweet.
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Bright, thank you so much for coming. I think all of us learned a lot from this meeting, and honestly got a little hope from talking to you.
Come on, man. Y'all got all the hope in the world. My generation are looking at y'all as the next leaders. Y'all got to take this mantle on. And the one thing that I want you to know is you're not going to know everything, but you're going to know more than enough. Okay? And you're going to succeed beyond your wildest imagination, because what you think is your potential has not even been unlocked yet.
All right, well, thank you. That meant a lot. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Bright. Thank you, everybody else, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Easterlin, for coming. We're going to have another meeting 2 weeks from now. We'll send out a recap of this. I'll send you the link for the YouTube video. And yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a good day.
All right. Bright out.